Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
Is it just something in your head? Will you believe it when you're dead? Green slime!
This is episode 105, recorded August 1st, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
Yes.
I'm so ashamed of myself. I feel like I just did something dirty.
Look dirty from here.
I am your host.
Who are you? Tell us who you are.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly horror films released since the beginning of time through 1969. In each episode, we'll discuss the monsters, spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history.
Man, he's putting some stank on it this week.
Yeah, we are. So, since we have a guest with us today that we'll get to in a minute, we'll kind of run through those. We are part of the Gruesome Magazine family of video podcasts, which includes Horror News Radio, Gruesome Magazine Podcast, Heroes and Droids, and Decades of Horror, classic era 70s and 1980s. So please subscribe and comment to those and like us on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. And you can also find them on your friendly neighborhood podcast app. Also, Decades of Horror, the classic era, is partnering with the Classic Sci-Fi Movie Channel, which is really a really cool thing to subscribe to because it's got lots of cool old sci-fi movies. And you can find our podcast there. So it is available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, online website, across all OTT platforms. So check it out. With me this week are my incredible co-ghosts. First up is Whitney Collazo, an accomplished artist, makeup artist, and writer. How are you, Whitney?
I am good, thank you. It was really cool to hear Chad serenading that. That was awesome.
Should have been on
Since
this
we
side
all
of it.
Since we all decided he
Yes.
sang it anyway, we didn't know how he got his voice back in 1968, but you know.
It was cool.
You
Next
just go to your Brooklyn. That's your default. Okay,
Next
baby, I'm back. Let's get on with this podcast over here. Go on. Introduce the doc. Will you? Go on.
Next up is Chad Hunt, co-host of Decades of Horror in the 70s and 80s, film producer and director with Havoc Productions, and a comic book artist and writer, and a part-time singer on what's that thing you do all the time?
Smule.
Smule.
Yeah, it sounds like a mule with a cold. Smule.
Yeah.
But it's a singing app. Yeah, I'm
Bless
always.
It's a cool app.
Because I'm
It is.
Whitney's got a pretty good voice. She should have sang that. Should have done it.
Well, maybe for something else. Yours matched that one perfectly, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more shortly.
Yeah, okay.
So, since from some of our feedback, we get questions about what happened to so-and-so, where'd they go? Are they coming back? So Joseph Perry and Daphne are not with us today, but they will be back. So stick with us. But subbing for this is the one and only Doc Rotten. I won't call him what I usually call him because he doesn't like it. It's great to have you with us, Doc.
Not when the lights are on. I'm glad to be here. Are you feeling cheated on there, Chad? Yeah, I am very happy to be here to talk about this particular movie because Jeff, you and I have been talking about this since Classic Era was even whispered as the film I wanted to be a part of.
Well,
Yes. Actually, Chad and I went to Doc and said we want to do a Decades of Horror of the 1960s. And then we decided it was easier to get forgiveness and permission and made it all the way back to the beginning of time. But anyway, and the first thing Doc said, go for it, was, but if you ever do the green slime, I got to be on it. So patiently, 4.5 years later and 104 episodes.
That's how long I've had this shirt.
Yes.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yes.
That's how long I've had this shirt. I bought it just for this
Chad is
podcast, and I'm like,
modeling the shirt.
when are we ever going to do that green slime movie?
Chad, can I see that again?
Pass
The
me my
illustration?
T-shirt. Yeah.
Stand up, but not
That
too
is
far.
so cool.
It is.
Poster
It's
art.
very cool.
Wow.
It is very cool. That is a neat one. Okay, so as you may have figured out, our topic is The Green Slime, directed by Kinji Fukasaku, written by Bill Finger, Tom Rowe, Charles Sinclair, from a story by Ivan Reiner. Cast includes Robert Horton, Luciana Paluzzi, and Richard Jekyll. Production company, MGM Ram Films, Inc., and I'm going to say Toei Company, but I have no idea how that should be pronounced.
That's it.
From Japan. It was filmed in the Toei Tokyo studios. Release date, there was a U.S. premiere in L.A. on December 1st, 1968, and a U.S. general theatrical release wasn't until May 21st, 1969. It was also known as Gamma 3, The Great Space War, and Gamma 3, The Big Military Space Operation, and we'll talk about that a little later, the genesis of this. The synopsis is after destroying a huge asteroid that was on a rapid collision course with Earth, a group of astronauts discovers they have accidentally returned to their space station with an alien slime creature that feeds on radiation and can reproduce rapidly from its own blood.
Don't we all?
That's scary stuff. Yeah. So I do have some posters here. So we'll take a quick look at those first. This is kind of the one that we see that is, I think, sort of copied onto Chad's shirt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
That's
also
cool.
was copied onto a famous
To
monsters
famous
film.
monsters, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's where I
Oh,
remember
and that's
seeing it
that's
first.
what that's from. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, with
Beautiful
that
painting.
tentacles suggestively wrapped around her leg, or maybe not suggestively. Forget I said that. And then
This person was nowhere in the movie, by the way.
you're right. Well, there was a woman, but
Well,
I
yeah,
don't think
it's the
she
nurse.
ever got in a spacesuit, did she?
No.
Never saw this. Well, this is one of the other nurses. The proctologist is running away from the green slime.
So just another version of the same thing, and a Asian poster. I'm assuming it's Japanese.
Yeah. It's a Loki variant of Richard Jekyll. That's what.
A Loki variant.
And then there's this one. They actually said one of the ways they marketed it was to use green print in the newspaper ads. But that bottom one is actually the sleeve art for the 45 of the theme song from MGM Records.
There's something special.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Wasn't the band that did it the same name as the song?
I don't know. And some foreign ones. I think the top left is either Norway or Denmark, but it translates to the green slime. El Fango Verde is Italian. The green mud. And the bottom one is something else. It was like that big battle in outer space kind of thing. But that's a difference.
Oh, okay.
What?
Well, I was trying to help you out with figuring out what that was, but I had no idea what you were talking about.
Well, what I said what the AKAs were, right? So
Yeah.
like Gamma 3, something. It's Battle of the somethings. I don't know. And it's French. So, hey, maybe if we have some French listeners, they can tell us what it means. Because I have forgotten. Okay, well, let's get to first impressions here. And since this was sort of a group, this last minute decision, and if you're here for, and you're looking for Rasputin the Mad Monk, we're going to do that next. But this one suddenly and unexpectedly leaped into our queue. And Doc since this is his thing he's been baking for so long, we'll let him go first. So when did you first see this?
Oh man, I saw this like in the 70s, like either all out Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night. It was part of one of those. I think this one was a Saturday afternoon kind of channel 20 up in DC kind of thing. I think this was what it was, Captain 20, which is another version of Count Gordeval. But anyway, I instantly fell in love with this stupid movie. It is so bad, but I love the design of the green slime creatures. I love the whole concept, and I don't know. It's and Richard Jekyll. I'm a big fan of his work. He does some great supporting roles throughout the 60s and 70s and genre work. He's actually does a lot of really good work elsewhere. What is it? Is it Dirty Dozen, or is it? There's one of the Dirty Dozen. He's in. I remember him in that too. And I don't know. The theme song alone, come on. But it is. There are times when the little burning green slimes outside are just the most ridiculous thing you ever seen. But it's just the whole kind. I love this stupid movie. I've watched it time and time and time again. Oh man, I'm so happy to be talking about this movie. Whenever I doodle, and I want to doodle something from a horror movie, I usually doodle the green slime monster. I do it terribly, but
that's awesome.
I do it. This is. I instantly fell in love with it back in the 70s when I saw it then, and then I've watched it over and over and over again. But I do remember seeing it on the Famous Monsters because I collected Famous Monsters before that, so I knew of it before I saw it. So when it came on, I was like, "Oh yeah," and it did not disappoint. But it wouldn't.
So if you're in a work meeting with Doc, he's not drawing caricatures of your boss. He's just doodling.
I don't know, Chad. You could talk about this, but when I'm in a meeting and if I'm doodling, I'm actually listening. That's how I listen.
Yeah, I listen better if I'm drawing at the same time.
It's just some weird thing that I just have to doodle, and a lot of times the doodles will reflect my reaction to whatever they're talking about. Because if I don't like what they say, there's very mean doodles. But if I'm happy about what they say, there's all these smiling doodles. So I usually do not share my doodles with the people.
Oh my goodness.
Meanwhile, I plaster mine all over my Instagram. And Facebook.
Well, I've done that a couple times. You've seen them, Chad.
Yeah.
I usually send them to you.
I've inked a couple of them too.
Oh man.
Anyway, welcome to Comic Book Talk.
I know. How'd that happen? Okay. Can I just say straight out of the gate, I want this movie to be remade so bad. I mean,
it won't work. It just won't work.
There's no way they could make it like.
Well, they can't make it like this, but I don't know. I love this kind. I don't know. For me, it still holds up. I watched it again this weekend, and it holds up. Now the effects are stupid. The creatures are obviously people in costumes, and the acting and the dubbing is bad. But at the same time, it's it's a really fun movie, and it is so enjoyable to watch. And it's got this. There's a dance scene. That's the most ridiculous thing ever.
and whatever those other two were doing with
the futuristic dance,
and the countdown is one of those old clickety clocks,
Yeah.
Instead of the digital things. It's just so bad. But I love it. Moving on. Somebody else.
All right. Well, let's check in with Whitney next. Whitney, when did you see this first, and what are your impressions?
My goodness. What I love about doing this is that it's always an adventure, and I'm finding something what's new to me in a way. And I can't believe, it's just kind of like treasure hunting doing Classic Era with you guys. And this is like, you guys took me on another adventure here. I have never heard of this or seen this until recently. And I laughed, and I thought it was cheesy but fun. I love cheese on my burgers anyways. But no, speaking of like Doc talking about the special effects, it was cheesy with that aspect, but taking an adventure to space and then trying to find out where these characters go and finding out about these creature like aliens and how to get rid of something that has blood that's reproducing and everything. That's kind of an interesting concept from that when you're trying to maintain your own niche of people and atmosphere. And then with the special effects, though, I was on a little adventure of looking at things here and finding out that Yukio Manoda, I can't say his last name right, but I know he did special effects for Mothra.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Ooh.
Akira,
Watanabe.
yes, and then he did Godzilla. And finding out that those two meshed in special effects department, and then seeing the the monster with the one eye and I don't know. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that, but I just seeing that stuff was so much fun. I don't know where to really begin with everything, but yes, it was an adventure like always with you guys here.
Great. I might have a similar experience there. Chad, what about you? When did you first see this, and what are your impressions now?
I first saw this as a kid too, same way on a Saturday afternoon show or something, TV show, and loved it from the first time I saw it. It was, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times since my first viewing, and each time I always find different things that you would never think there were layers to a movie like this.
There are layers,
but well, obviously you had the relationships going on, the monsters, but there was also some really cool concepts in there, like Whitney brought out, that came about a long time before other movies that had the same things maybe had in it, which we'll talk about, I guess. But I love this movie. It's a fun movie. It's not. I mean, there were some pretty gory effects at some point.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was cool. And the monsters, they look crazy as I don't know what, but they're fun to look at, And it is kind of scary when you open a door and there's 100 things with wiggly tentacles flying around. They look like those things you stick the hose in the yard, and then the little things go and spray water everywhere. That's what they reminded me of. But
they make a great sound too.
Yeah, sound, yeah. Sound your toaster makes when it's on its last leg.
Oh my gosh!
But this is a fun movie, and waited a long time to do it. And I'm glad Doc is here to join us to do it too. So let's. It's going to be good because this is a good movie. Can't wait to hear what Jeff's got to say. That's what
I want to thank everybody for. I mean, we basically changed the movie we're doing with about a day's notice, so I really appreciate everybody doing that. It's not always easy to go out, if you plan what you're watching and everything. So anyway, the first time I saw this, and I've told this story before on one of the podcasts, but the first time I saw this was about 4 years ago, and it was after Doc kept talking about it, how much he loved it, and I hadn't seen it. So I'm watching it with my grandson, who I think was about 10 at the time. And he said the greatest thing, which was one of the lines we were talking about using at the beginning, was when they're on the asteroid and the scientist is coming in, and the Robert Horton character grabs his jar with the specimen in it and throws it. You're not bringing that on. And then you see the little splatter on his knee, and my grandson goes, "Oh, it's always the scientist."
Yes.
Oh wow, that's actually a pretty perceptive comment.
Yeah, that's good insight right there.
And I think that was about around the time we did the Thing from Another World, where we were talking about the Robert Cornthwaite character was kind of the same way. You can't kill these things. So yeah, and so it was. I actually bought this too, Chad, even though I want to give Warner Brothers too hard a time, but their Blu-rays usually don't have any extras, and it doesn't. But still, it's pretty good quality, and it was a great time watching it again. Loved the terrible dialogue, loved the creatures, loved the whole setup. I mean, these guys go from they call Robert Horton to come right to the ship and talk to him about it, get him to volunteer, send him to the space station. They take off, go to the asteroid, come back to the ship. All that happens in the first 30 minutes. I mean, they're not screwing around, you know, almost lose a couple people on the way. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the slime. I like the stuff and how it magnifies, and the science just goes like, the science is ridiculous. You know, we put it in an electromagnetic field and the cells get bigger and bigger, and it starts bubbling and starts foaming. Somehow or another, that foaming turns into, I guess did we see like little rows of baby ones sprouting up at some point, or what were those?
Yeah,
they're like this big with little red dots in the middle of them. Like
it looked like they used like little wax ones and then melted them. So and then shot it in reverse is what they looked like they did. It was kind of silly.
So anyway, I love this, and I actually like I don't know that much about Luciana Paluzzi, but we'll talk about her. But Richard Jagiel, Robert Horton are a couple of favorites of mine from back in the day. Now, in my excitement to get started this, we left a key part out that we usually do. It is now time for the taglines.
Okay, taglines. Let me see.
Find your tab, Chad.
Here comes
Let me get a tab going here, Jeff. Just hold on.
Look out for that bus. Look out for that bus.
Let's see here. Taglines.
Oh my God.
You should sing them. No.
Okay. First tagline: Electric mutation horror. Invaders from beyond the stars. The green slime is or are coming. Take your pick.
That's some different posters couldn't decide if it was plural or singular, I guess. So some said are, some said is.
Should be.
I don't know why. What happened to the taglines? The movies we're picking don't have very many taglines anymore. So I particularly like electric mutation horror. I don't know. It's just.
It sounds like a rock band from the 60s, doesn't it?
Actually, yeah,
or
maybe.
Or a country folk band.
Country folk band.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's move on to. We said the director of this was Kinji Fukasaku.
I know. Battle Royale.
I did not know who he was, and I feel really stupid. Yeah, Battle Royale.
He is a legendary director.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, he. So you guys have you guys seen Battle Royale? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God,
yeah.
it's one of my absolute favorites.
Incredible.
Yes.
I haven't.
It's out there, but that was in, was that 2000?
2000.
Yeah.
So, but he did a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but he did, from what I read anyway, he did a series of Yakuza films in the 70s that were started off with Street Mobster, and then that's when the Toya company said, "Oh, I like that, so we're going to do these." And it was the first of 7 Yakuza films was Battles Without Honor and Humanity. And they went from them being sort of honorable samurai type characters, I guess, to being what we think of them now. Had a big influence on Quentin Tarantino, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did a movie called Virus that is what you'd think it would be about. And then Message for Space.
Oh, man, that movie.
Message from Space, yeah.
Chad, you got to remember that one, right?
Yes.
with Vic Morrow, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, it's exactly as bad as the title suggests.
It's horrible.
Oh boy.
But you know what's cool, and you probably have this, and apologies if I'm stealing your thunder, but there's a movie called Tora 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 that was in 1970.
Yes.
And
yes.
he directed the Japanese
Okay.
sequences. Yeah.
I was just looking at that because I looked at some of his credits just now and I thought Tora, that looks really familiar. And so, yeah, that's cool.
that was a big blockbuster about Pearl Harbor,
Mhm.
and they followed both the Japanese side and the American side. So
Yeah, my dad's really into that stuff. So I said, I think I've seen that with my dad. So yeah, that's neat.
so anyway, I feel stupid for going. I guess I don't know this guy, but I looked this stuff up and went, holy cow, I got to go back. I would especially want to see those Yakuza films from the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize he was the same director until, well into Battle Royale and Battle Royale 2. Although he didn't really direct much of Battle Royale 2, his son did. But I was like, oh my God, that's the same director. How did that happen? Because it's so different. But you can see that I know Battle Royale is an extraordinary film.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great director. Even here, I mean, if you look at just from the direction of it, I mean, he's undermined by bad dubbing and special effects, but the direction of it is actually really strong. It makes it hold up.
Well, and he doesn't.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
A lot of the shots he was doing too, like how a character would walk into the camera and then it would transition to the next scene. Some of the like real kinetic close-ups. Like, am I on? What did I do?
Like the Richard Jaco character, like literally walks into the camera.
And I did it a couple of times too with the other character. They would just walk in front of the camera and it would transition to the dance hall scene or whatever that was. And a couple of his close-up shots, like when Richard Jaco and the commander were facing off in the hall, and those two close-ups to each character, like in a gun draw. It reminded you a lot of a Western. There,
yeah, he liked to concentrate on Jaco's baby blues, that's for sure.
Yeah,
did that a lot. And then
I think there probably was some issues with the because it sounded like there was a lot of problems with the crew was almost all Japanese and the cast was all English speaking. So
that's always fun.
They needed somebody translating. You can't fault him for the dialogue at all.
I need $20 more million to finish my movie. Nobody can understand each other. I gotta hire translators, brick walls, whatever.
Yeah, I love the shaky cam that he used when those slow moving things were supposed to be like out of control and going down the hallway to the little carts they had, little light cars with little lights. And they're like, everybody's like going like this, and they're shaking the camera, and it's like this thing is barely moving. What are you talking about? But it was great.
No, it was crazy.
And nobody got hurt. In all that mayhem, nobody got hurt.
Well, I love how in the battles, and this is part of what he was doing, but in the battles, they, if you could get your hands on it, they threw it. He throws his helmet at him. They throw several plastic laser guns at him. And beds and cots and everything else.
I died laughing. Lasers are bouncing off these things left and right. And he throws a plastic PlayStation controller into this creature's eyeball. And he kills it. That was the greatest thing ever.
I love it when they throw the helmet. Like, why'd you throw your helmet, dude?
Yeah, that was something I questioned too about the helmet. And then speaking of throwing things, like especially in the scene when they're fighting outside, like in outer space, and they're right there. The one guy he threw his gun, and it just seems like they're all kind of floating, and they're just using the lasers, their laser guns, and then he's out of whatever the laser, and he just throws it, and just so happens to knock one down.
His expression right after that was what got me like, did that really just work?
Yeah.
And then he took off and flew.
So you mentioned the dubbing, Doc, and I swear, I looked at all kinds of stuff. I swear I was hearing Paul Frees come out of multiple people's mouths, but I must not have. Was there someone else doing voiceovers or
oh no,
they just sounded like people that did cartoons and stuff. They didn't sound like, does that guy really sound like that?
It very well could have been because around that time, I guess.
I checked his credits and I tried to find some connection and I didn't, but
I mean, Robert Horton and Richard Jaco shouldn't be dubbed, but they sound like they are. Even though they probably, did they like dub the whole thing again?
Maybe they dubbed their own lines back or something.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it, even though but some of the other, there's a multiracial or an international cast.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I'm not really sure what's going on.
Well, to be honest, I didn't really notice the dubbing until halfway through the movie. I thought, okay, wait, something's not syncing right. It was the way they're talking, and I'm kind of glad you guys brought it up because I'm like, am I crazy or is there something off about the way they're talking?
Well, and as is often typical, the closed captions the subtitles didn't always match what they said.
Right.
The dubbing. So a few extra words thrown in there here and there. And so speaking of these guys, Robert Horton.
Robert Horton.
So I put this one picture with his shirt off because when I was reading about him, they said he was often shown with his shirt off because of his hairy chest and his virile look or something like that. So I just
I'm not impressed.
No, okay. Well, this is before everybody had personal trainers and weight machines and everything. So, and if you said I have a 6-pack, that they would have never thought about abs. The thing I remember seeing him from is Wagon Train. I was a big fan. He played this character, a scout named Flint McCullough. I love that guy. And then when he went off the show, I was like, why do I watch this anymore? But he did like 189 episodes, I think. So that's him there with Ward Bond in this shot, who was the original wagon master and died in 1960 and was replaced by John McIntyre. But anyway, and then in the 60s, he was in a show called A Man Called Shenandoah. I don't know if anybody remembers that one season thing where somebody found him almost dead and he nursed him back to health and he lost his memory.
Oh.
So he called himself Shenandoah and then went looking for his past. It's one of those standard storylines, only this one's in a Western.
Interesting.
And that's in his macho looking helmet gear there and the green slime.
Yeah.
His Spaceballs outfit.
Oh my God, it is Spaceballs. Oh my God, it is just a bicycle helmet kind of jazzed up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, strangely enough, that's another person. So I'll leave that for later. But I always liked him because of those two shows, especially Wagon Train. But he didn't really do any other genre stuff that I could see. I don't know if you guys noticed anything.
I noticed he did some soap opera.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that As the World Turns show that was in the 80s and stuff. I guess that explains the really dramatic macho attitude that he kind of has.
Oh, he was hard ass. Wow, was he hard ass?
That's one way to put it.
As Jeff stares at a shirtless Robert.
I saw.
I did have kind of a bromance with him when I was
goodness.
Like 8.
All right.
I'm not familiar with it, but I'm pretty sure I passed by. He had a credit in Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure.
I think several of these guys. In fact, is he the one? I kind of get them mixed up. I'm thinking, did you do like 7 of them?
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm seeing 1956, 1960. Okay. Yeah. I guess so.
So I always figure, it's somebody who's has a look, play a part, can read the lines, be on time, all that stuff is what I sort of think of Hitchcock as expecting. But anyway, comments about his character or?
Oh, he's a dick.
Yes.
Yeah.
The helmet's very appropriate.
Oh boy.
He is absolutely a mean hard ass, like you said. He treats Richard Jekyll so, but the thing is like he'll be like a mean little bastard to him, and then he'll turn around and say, "Make sure he's listed on the thing." Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I understand. And it's like, I don't know. It's a weird. And then he's totally after Richard Jekyll's fiance the entire time.
Oh yeah.
There's the dick part. Yeah.
He even said to her, he was so blunt about just feelings and certain things, like, "Oh, come on, you know you're not over me," and stuff like that. And just like, "Oh, of course, you're so full of yourself to want to push
You're
yourself
making a
on
big
this person."
mistake.
Yeah. Things like that. Yes.
I haven't seen her for years, but I immediately know you're making a big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
This guy who's and Richard Jekyll acts really friendly to him until that party, and he's dancing with her and telling her how she's making a big mistake, and Richard Jekyll just sort of gets that vibe, I guess.
Right.
But then he also realizes that, damn it, she still does love him. And he gets that look on his face, those little puppy dog blue eyes. He knows it's over. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, and she could be easy to love, Luciano Paluzzi. She was in Thunderball. Not the lead woman character, but maybe the one people might even remember the most.
Does she have the name?
No, somebody else played Domino.
Okay.
And then the only other real genre thing I could find was Captain Nemo and the City Under the Sea.
Oh, she was Fiona. Every time I think of the girls from Thunderball, it's Pussy Galore, but I don't know why.
Well, but
yes, I do. But
yeah. No, she was not that one. No,
she wasn't that one.
She gets killed. She takes a hit while they're dancing, I think, or jumps in front of him, and he kind of spins her around and says, "Mind if she sits with you? She's dead."
Wow.
Anyway,
Sean Connery, you're such a sly dog. You.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we got her, and there's some riskier photos of her, but she obviously has a bed scene with Sean Connery and shows up wearing a full set of leathers on it.
Oh, there you go. What's Captain Nemo in the Underwater City?
Robert Ryan. That's just a really bizarre movie. That's Chuck Connors. The hair. Oh my God, the hair.
The sideburns.
The sideburns.
Mutton chops, whatever. Those are mutton chops, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was about the closest thing to a genre type thing I could find for her. But I was cool with her. She did okay.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. She was great.
She was probably great, but whoever dubbed her voice was horrible.
No. But I could see the two of them. I could see the two of them fighting over her, for certain.
And she's got enough going on. She's got patience to take care of it there.
And she's got two guys sniffing around at the same time. She's trying to hold them off too. It's easier to hold off the horde of green slime, apparently. She did a good job at that.
Yes.
Sniffing around like a little dog. Hey, it is the 60s and she's a doctor, so that's a good thing. I mean, she is the doctor on the...
Yes, she is. Nobody tells her how to do her job either.
No.
Yeah.
So that's kind of progressive for 1968.
Yeah. So in and she was in some other stuff. She was in I thought I pulled a picture of that, but I don't. Apparently, I didn't.
I can't
put it in there.
Find it, but wasn't there some kind of series that dealt with something being in outer space as well, or something sci-fi related? I'm not sure.
Well, she was in a movie. She was in a series called Five Fingers.
Okay.
Before this, that starred David Hedison and Paul Burke, along with her, and it was sort of I Spy came later, but it was sort of like that.
Okay.
The David Hedison character is a spy, and his cover is he's managing this singer, played by Luciana. But anyway, it only had a short run. I'm thinking it might even have been one of those summer replacement series kind of things.
It's got Alfred in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Alan Napier's in it too. Yep. It's an interesting cast. Cesar Romero as a guest in one
Wow.
of the shows. So
That's cool.
there's a 6 Degrees connection to Batman, I guess.
There's a couple. There's a couple in there.
We'll take all we can get.
Yeah. It's weird though, because she does play off. She's so about Richard Jekyll's character at the beginning, and then apparently once she sees Commander Jack Rankin, Robert Horton, she starts to slide back.
That's all it took. Of all the gin joints in all the world,
You had to come to this space station.
Yes. All right.
And
So
so
we got
it was towards the end. Well, I guess if you don't mind me adding, until it was towards the end, like where maybe some feelings shifted a little bit when Rankin. I guess he didn't really want to see Vince be the hero. I don't know. I kind of saw it that way. It's like it seemed like they were always competing in a way.
Yeah.
When he was towards the end and he's with her and he says, "Well, I'm going to go too," or something.
the dialogue was so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he tells Commander Elliot. Commander Elliot says, "I'm coming with you to the asteroid,"
Yes.
and he says, "No, you're not. Your place is here, and you know it."
Yes.
Oh, but wait a minute. Captain so-and-so can handle that just fine. I'm coming. I'm glad to hear you say that.
It was weird. Yes.
It's weird. And the writers on this are all, I don't know, American or English speaking, but I swear it would have. It's saying those words. I kind of expected those to be in a full Japanese science fiction movie.
Yeah, well, it may sound kind of comic booky, and there might be a reason, right, Chad?
Yeah, Bill Finger.
Wow, there we go. Yeah.
He's now credited as the co-creator of Batman along with Bob Kane, and he just won that back in 2015. He went uncredited for years for co-creating Batman and ghost writing for Bob Kane up until that time. So there was a lawsuit. And DC had to retroactively go back and credit him in every comic book printed after that.
Wow.
And so he got, and there's a wonderful documentary about the whole thing, how all this controversy of him owning half of Batman, and it's called Bill Finger and Me, and I think it's on Hulu. And I would highly recommend. It's a great documentary, and it's such a good story. It's heartbreaking at times, but good wins out in the end, I guess. But great guy, and Bill Finger, all this. Now that you know who he is and what he wrote Batman back in the 60s when this kind of sci-fi, or 50s when this sci-fi era of Batman was going on. So a lot of this sounds like some of the dialogue directly from the comic book.
Yeah.
He wrote 2 of the Batman episodes, but he also, for those who are in the comic books, and since Chad and I are here, he co-created the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, and came up with that code name. So, yeah. And then he created the Lana Lane character, and he wrote for all kinds of, Fawcett, Quality, Timely, even. So he was very active. Just well, like many other artists.
So there's a ton of credits on here. Almost all of them are connected to Batman. Not all of them, but almost all of them, because of what you guys just said. But I'm sure he did other stuff that wouldn't show up here, maybe. It was a comment I wanted to make about Robert Horton. He doesn't have a lot of credits, but he was really into musical theater. He did lots of that. And in fact, one of the reasons he left Wagon Train was to be able to have time to do that. So anyway, back to Bill Finger. I see he wrote 3 episodes of 77 Sunset Strip. And wrote, I saw something else there quickly. Snow Devils. right before this.
Oh.
Nope, lost Whitney.
We lost Whitney.
That may have been a similar. Oh, that's an Antonio Meretti, which we need to talk about at some point here. So yeah, he was doing a few other things. It says he actually wrote a couple episodes of Batman.
Yeah, he wrote the Clock King episodes.
The Clock King
season 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Hawaiian Eye.
yeah. So he did some other stuff. There's some odd movies slid in there too. I thought I saw another one, but I'm not finding it now. Maybe it was Snow Devils. So while we're kind of talking about the writing, that apparently there was a 4-movie sequence that was directed by Antonio Margheriti. The series consisted of The Wild Wild Planet, The War of the Planets, War Between the Planets, and Snow Devils. So hey, there we go. All created over a period of about 3 months and released in 1965. That was going to be a series, but instead they released the 4 films theatrically, and they were on a space station called Gamma 1. So this was supposed to be sort of an unofficial 5th in that, because they called the space station Gamma 3.
Gamma. Mm-hmm. I think Bill Finger will probably always be known for Batman.
Now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, but it's kind of weird how that all kind of psyched in there. He wrote that movie for the Margheriti film, and then he was in on this one as well.
Did you guys notice that there were a lot of similarities between some more modern movies and this one, like Aliens and the ceiling scene when all the aliens they shine the light down the hall and the aliens are coming? I saw that a couple of times.
Well, the blood, right? I mean, because this is the only other creature I can think of that the blood did something. It wasn't made of acid, but
No.
Alien.
Yeah.
The Blob. I got some Blob in there.
The Blob. I thought of Flubber for some weird reason.
Flubber!
The deadly
because
Flubber.
Of the substance. Because of the substance and everything that it was at first. I'm like, well, it kind of reminds me of Flubber, but not really because of just the substance. And then I thought, oh, Gremlins, because it's all these things are like growing and multiplying into something. There's a lot of a lot of references to things that we were used to in other films that we like.
Like the thing with the blood moving around and squirting.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And once you see one thing like that, your mind starts going. You're looking for everything.
Oh, absolutely. So Richard Jago plays Lieutenant or Commander.
Donovan.
Beach Dickerson.
Beach Dickerson.
Commander Vince Elliott. So I had to throw this in. You know, we have our Batman references. The top left picture is an episode of The Texan with Brian Donlevy, and they play father and son. And then the one next to it is probably one that Chad's a Brian Donlevy fan. Maybe the only person in the world that thinks he makes the best Quatermass. God.
You put the R in there. That R.
Sorry, Alistair. Doc must know the other one up there, I hope.
Is that what is it? Is that shark? That's the shark movie, right?
Mako, the Jaws of Death.
Okay. Mako.
Anyway.
Grizzly.
And then we have Grizzly, and then he plays the exact opposite type in Day of the Animals.
Yes. He's great. He is so good.
I always liked him. The thing I remember him from is Doc already brought it up. He brought up Dirty Dozen, but for most of his career, he played military characters or in westerns, tough guys, right?
Mhm.
Just kind of tough guys. And if you look through his credits, all through the 50s, 60s, and you click on something, if you look at the title and you're not sure what it is, you click on it, it's almost always something related to military.
Military, Western, or these weird sci-fi. There's a one in '69 called Latitude Zero. If you don't know what that is, you need to look it up. That is the weirdest, strangest Toho film ever.
Well, and I swear I had a picture of that, but I must have got in a hurry there at the end.
Well, now I'm interested.
Get it in there.
But yeah, it is great.
And it's Ishiro Honda directs it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Santos bought me a copy of that. And
oh wow.
He said, "You got to watch this movie," and it is there's every reason that he was right. You got to watch this movie. It's out there available. I've seen it up on some of the streaming sites. So if you get a chance, look up Latitude Zero, because the title is misleading. It doesn't feel like a sci-fi, rubber suit monster movie, which it isn't. It isn't. It's really weird. Really weird. Anyway, sorry.
Definitely. No, it's okay. No. I'm glad you brought it up, because I was trying to remember. Awesome. I pulled a shot from that, but I missed. Didn't get it on. I guess I was kind of rushing on the.
So Richard Jekyll, of course.
We did this.
Yeah, Richard Jekyll, of course, is what we would call a character actor, but he could. Why did he never become a lead? Because he has all the characteristics of a lead, right? But what kept him from that?
I don't know. He was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in a movie that included Paul Newman, or the Paul Newman was the lead. So I don't know the answer to that. The things I remember him from are, and he makes that movie. He's Dirty Dozen. Mm-hmm. He's a character that immediately comes to mind. Also, I always watched Spencer for Hire when that was on, and he played the police detective that was sort of the liaison, for better or for worse, with Spencer and Hawk. I don't know why he didn't. He's rather short, I think.
Back then that's probably a big factor in it.
Weren't they all short? I mean...
Well, if you go back, you had guys like Alan Ladd, and I guess we still have Tom Cruise. So, Starman, he was in Starman.
Yeah, I remember him in there. What is the Western Elvis Presley movie? Was it Flaming Star? Flaming?
I don't know. That's an Elvis Presley movie.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of a Western that Elvis was in. I think it was Flaming Star, but he played in that as well.
He was in Airplane 2.
But in almost every, as you go through it, he's in tons of Western. Tales of Wells Fargo, The Rebel, TV shows, The Tall Man. But he was also in Alfred Hitchcock Presents too. I saw a quote that is surprising to me. He was friends with, oh God, I hate when I do this.
Nah.
Robert Blake.
Oh, well.
And Robert Blake said he was the craziest guy I ever knew.
Oh, really?
Wait. Robert Blake
said this guy was the craziest?
I kid you not.
Okay.
Let me find it real quick so that I'm not dreaming it here, because I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, while you're looking, I just want to circle back around, because I'm always impressed with when I find him in a role. He always stands out. He's always better than the role itself. Yeah, especially you look at his Girdler movies and stuff like that, because we've covered all those on the 70s.
Yeah. And he has that leading man quality. I mean, like you guys said, he had that chiseled chin and everything. I don't know why, because he's a great actor. He's a great actor.
I mean, I enjoyed his performance in this one. I was actually, I'm not as familiar with him as you guys are, but I mean, I thought the same thing. Like, he has this potential to be a little bit more, and to see that he towards the end, like, he's trying to be the hero, but it's all competition there, really.
Yeah, because they're both sort of buttholes.
Yeah.
I mean, both of these guys are just. I didn't know who to
Macho.
root for. Yeah,
They have a macho
it's macho.
attitude. Yeah.
Because it's obviously Horton's character is supposed to be the lead, but Jekyll's character is the more sympathetic.
Yeah.
He's more sympathetic, but he's still a butthole.
Yeah.
And I guess it would make sense because of that relationship he's had with the nurse, that he's expected to be married to her, that kind of thing. So I don't know.
All right. So Robert Blake and Richard Jekyll met when they were in a movie called Town Without Pity in 1961. That was about 4 U.S. soldiers stationed in Germany that raped a German girl, and the trial that followed afterward, or were accused of. Not exactly sure how the plot lists it. Faced death in the rape of a local girl and are defended by outside counsel. And so the quote was after Jekyll died, or at one time, Blake said about Jekyll, he was the only guy he had ever met who was, quote, crazier than me. Which is, I don't know.
I don't know if I believe that.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Now, maybe he just, anyway, that's an interesting thing for a guy like Robert Blake to say.
It sure is.
Yeah, he was in one episode of Beretta. I'm going to have to look that one up. Catch that. I want to see the two of them acting together. See the friendship.
Oh, yeah.
So there are a lot of typical of Japanese. I don't think I have any pictures of it, but there was a lot of miniatures in this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my God, were there ever? Some of them are the absolute silliest.
Yeah, and I don't know that they were well made, but they weren't well shot. It was just too.
I don't know. These things look like they should be hanging inside a baby crib.
Well, some of them, yeah.
It always cracks me up when things are on fire in space.
And it's big fires.
And things fall off of it. It's like,
right.
Man, that's a big flame. That's a big flame.
So this is the asteroid, which actually looked a little bit like a COVID virus.
It did. Oh my God. That's the first thing I thought when I saw that.
I did too.
That's horrible.
I did too.
Only what, 53 years ago. And there we've got that's the broken collection jar, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
The green slime on the ground. And there it is between 2 electrodes as they're showing what happens when I turn it up a little and he cranks the knob.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it up just a little.
I kind of like the effects in this movie. The gooey effects like that. And
yeah.
And the way they shot the creatures was kind of smart. They didn't linger on them very long so you could see them, but quick snap close-ups to their eyeballs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were great. Yeah.
Well, it sounds really strange for me to say this because of color. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not so strange, but the color and the texture of the layers of what we're looking at here, and the reds and the earthy tones, but the reds especially, I don't know. When I first saw that, and I thought, oh my gosh, it looks kind of like that mossy stuff on Fear Street.
No. Wow.
I don't know if you guys watched it.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of the mossy stuff I saw, and on the earthy ground and everything, that mossy stuff, the red stuff that we're seeing there, and it just it reminded me of that looking at these set designs and things like that. My mind immediately went to that, because I think it's because that show is really fresh on my mind because it's so recent that I've been watching it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like that. I like that the asteroid.
Yes.
I thought it was okay. I mean, it was obvious it was a set, but yet I kind of liked it.
I liked it. It was pretty.
Those light cars killed me. Those light cars.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of Austin Powers. Those things he was driving and backing up, and
like when he gets stuck in the hallway.
Yeah, just got stuck in the
That was
hallway.
kind of funny.
That's exactly what I saw.
Yeah, especially when they're like,
yeah. Oh, that was the best ever. Such overacting. That thing could probably not knock over a Coke bottle.
Oh my
So
goodness.
here's the space stuff that Doc was talking about.
Yes, I see.
Oh, there it is. I mean, I
What-
guess when it's falling to Earth, maybe.
Once it enters the atmosphere,
Big question mark.
maybe.
I thought Bezos didn't make it back to Earth on
Oh,
this sequence of pictures here.
Well, the thing that always gets me is that in this picture of the rocket,
Too
it's
soon?
not quite as obvious.
Too soon.
No. I'm totally with you.
Oh my goodness.
The rocket, a lot of times when they do something like this, like the rocket's supposed to be flying through the air, and the flames coming out of the end will be like tailing up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's I'm not getting the effect. I'm
No,
just not getting the speed of.
Yeah, this was kind of well done. Yeah, and you see sometimes you see smoke coming up from that flame.
Yeah.
Going back there. So you don't. But this was well done, even when they did the.
It looked, Now, whether or not you think there should be that much fire in space, it still looks kind of cool.
Right.
But by this time, you're in, right?
Yeah. If you're not believing 5 or 6 100-foot long flames coming out of the back of a rocket,
you've already turned the movie off by
Yeah.
this time. If you're not in.
Well, there's another scene where I swear they're outside on the asteroid, and they tell Commander Rankin there's a message from Earth or something, right? And so he runs up the ladder. He doesn't shut the door or nothing, and takes his helmet off and starts talking on the speaker. Did you notice that? They don't shut the hatch. He just climbs up the ladder, takes his helmet off, and starts talking.
I didn't even notice that at first
Oh my
until you
gosh.
said that.
All right. And then a few of the creatures.
And one of the best shots in the movie with the
Yeah.
The guy at
freaking
the
doctor.
wide-eyed scientist.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was wrong. So wrong.
Well, it's hard to see in some of these shots, but I like what is hanging on this creature in the middle shot. It's like he's got a whole bunch of
It's just a bunch of little
balloons
danglies.
with slime in it. Yeah, dangly stuff or something.
Yeah.
Slime sacks.
When
I don't know.
I was a kid, I thought the eyeballs underneath the red eye was its mouth.
That's what I was wondering. Like those little things that are below this eye.
Yeah,
Like, what
that's
is
what I
that? Is that
thought.
just part of his?
They're
look,
all
or
eye-
are
they're
they
all
eyes?
More eyes. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. See, I wasn't sure what was going on there.
I do
Maybe
love
it's
the
like
first.
maybe it's like a marsupial, and those are like babies hanging out.
Oh, maybe.
Ooh, maybe.
Or
Maybe that would make sense
Maybe-
because the substance supposed to reproduce when the blood or whatever it is that drops. I guess that would be. Who knows?
let's just hope they're not like bulls.
Ugh.
I was gonna
Too
say
soon, Doc. Too soon.
Susan, I love the first shot when they open up the eye and you get the first shot of the eye of the monster because it's in this hallway that's dimly lit and everything, and it's the first time we get a look at it, and it's got this great music to it, and it's supposed to be like this great thing, but it looks silly as shit. But I love that. But those are the funnest things to draw, Chad. How many times have you drawn them?
I've drawn this thing 100 times over my life, the course of my life, and for some commissions too. So,
Oh wow!
I don't like drawing it.
Oh, you don't like drawing it?
What?
Yeah, I mean, I do like drawing it, but at the same time, I want to improve on it whenever I draw it, and I don't like feeling that way to improve on somebody else's stuff. So.
Oh, man. But what I love about like the first one is like a little one. Like a
Yeah.
I love that one. He's like hanging out in the
kinda
hallway
cute.
going, "Arr!" and we, it's a while before we get these big tall ones running around.
Yes.
And we get like 6 or 7 of them running down the hallway, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, seeing that first one, that small one, wasn't really so intimidating. It was kind of cute, but
was
then
like-
seeing it just
Yeah.
go bigger.
You
it
could
was-
just kick him over the rail and be done with it.
exactly.
That's what they try to
funny.
do, isn't it? Have you? Now I'm just going to throw some props out to Beastrek. You know who Beastrek is, Chad, right?
Who?
The Beastrek, the artist.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
He draws
Go
a
ahead.
great version of this. Anyway,
Oh.
I'm just going to throw that out there. But the scene in the middle that Jeff has up is one of the times that the creature actually is imposing because there's like 2 of them or 3 of them that
Mhm.
enter into the into the what is it? They've kind of moved the what? They moved all the sick personnel.
Oh, like cell block B or cell block.
Yeah, and they come in and they're pushing them all around in this room. They're stuck in the room.
The monsters with the patients, Ernie.
Yeah.
The quarantine area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's hit him with this burn victim.
No, I love that shot where they.
Oh gosh.
So the picture of the doctor where he's all burned up.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Richard Jekyll said, "My God, you can't just leave him in there. We have to try to save him." And they argue about it. Finally, Robert Horton's character says, "Yeah, it's on you." And they open the door, and this is like this room jammed full of these creatures. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was
Richard,
really ridiculous.
It's much as a dick as Robert Horton's character was. He was actually right about Jekyll's character because Jekyll's character always made bad decisions.
Yes, he always wanted to save somebody when the rest of the ship would die.
And every time it deals with that scientist guy, oh man, just.
And that's what happened. Every time Jekyll would say, "Don't shoot" or something, 2 or 3 men would die.
I know.
And he gets the one little burn on the shoulder there, which he kept digging at the whole movie, and it aggravated me. But,
oh my gosh.
Forgot about that.
but I love the fact that the nurses are fighting off the monsters.
Yes.
And doing a better job than the guys are with lasers and smallpox.
I mean, even using the I hated it, but it was kind of amusing. I'm terrible. Just using the beds that the wounded
patients are on.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's bad, but that's amusing, and they're doing whatever it takes.
Well, and that's
and they're throwing things too.
Yeah, they did.
Jekyll and Horton do the same thing. They lure him, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I think that's when he throws a helmet at him. Mm-hmm. He's also shoving empty beds at him and throwing them up. And
the only way to kill these creatures is to throw objects at them. Any object will do.
Try your helmets.
So, Doc, you've always gone on and on about this theme song. So, is there anything you wanted to say about the theme song that we haven't talked about?
Oh, well, I mean, other than the terrific rendition that Chad did at the beginning of the episode, no, this song is just perfect. And when you hear it, you can't help but smile. It is the best.
Yes. Oh
so apparently it was written by Sherry Gadden. Anyway, and Richard Delvey did the arrangement. And it includes a theremin with the same person who played the theremin was the one who played it on the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Paul Tanner. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, man.
That whole song just encapsulates a fun movie.
It really did, because I didn't hear about this until I found out we were going to do this movie, and I'm looking at trailers, and the first trailer that I see is with this song, and I'm like, wow, is this Chad singing? No, it's not. Of course I know it's not. I'm just like in that weird mind. This song is so funky, like it reminds me of just some kind of fun, cheesy, good time of, I don't know.
Yeah,
a fun, cheesy, good time.
It sort of lets you know the movie's not going to take itself all that serious.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
And then it just sounded like something that you would, because I love your sense of humor and the way you like to carry on with things. I'm like, this is definitely a Chad kind of song. And like, that kind of sounds like him a little bit. I loved it. It was great. Oh my gosh. And I found myself singing it a couple of times too, like throughout the day randomly. I'm like, wow, okay. This is an earworm.
It is. It really is. Every now and then I do this. I find myself singing it and or humming it.
Gosh. Green slime, something. I don't know.
Pointing in my son's face, going green slime.
Nice.
And him not knowing, and him just going.
Nobody knowing what the hell.
What are you talking about? Here he is again.
All right. So, any final comments about this? Anything you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about? Doc,
I want it to be remade. I want somebody to remake it. I want it just needs to have. It needs to be like a straight up comedy kind of sci-fi thing, and
I can see that.
Oh my gosh, it could be done. It could be done.
It would have to be done as a comedy.
Yes,
but it would be so great because you would take. It could be like with this semi-serious bent, and then if everybody took it seriously, but it was.
I could buy that.
Right, comes out of the creatures and the oh man, there's gold in this slime.
And we need Bruce Willis as one of the parts. So.
I was thinking Ryan Reynolds, but
okay,
probably couldn't afford him. Probably have to afford Bruce Willis. He's going to be the guy that on Earth that sends everybody up there.
Oh my!
He was kind of in a movie like this. What's the one with him and Billy Bob Thornton and Ben Affleck?
Yeah, oh my God, was it Armageddon?
Armageddon, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I've already done one Armageddon movie, one media movie.
Anybody else?
I also want to cosplay Whitney? As the green slime.
Please, please do.
I'm gonna say, well, how do you make one of those? Go running down the hallway.
We'll get Bill Mulligan to get.
There you go. I mean, can you imagine somebody walking around at a dragon?
Yeah, I can. I can imagine it. It's gonna be you. Awesome. It's gonna be you.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be me.
Yeah, this is a great. It feels like a kaiju, type movie, but it's not. It's straight up. The same formula, like monsters and army guys and stuff.
They refer to this as a tokusatsu.
Oh, okay. The
basic science fiction.
Yeah. Okay. Films. I remember we covered that too, but it's just fun from beginning to end. The song, like Whitney said, the song just starts you out and sort of sets a tone for everything. And you get this ridiculous love triangle / stalking situation going.
Stalking.
I just find it's crazy that in the middle of, like, when we did Attack of the Crab Monsters, you've got this invasion of crabs that are virtually invincible. You'll never kill them. They're going to kill you. And you're like, so how often do you come around? It's just that kind of stuff. It hasn't. They have to put something like that in there for the interest part. But
a good time to point out that the Japanese version was 77 minutes or 13 minutes shorter, and they did that by cutting out the triangle. There ain't no triangle.
Wow.
I'd love to see that version, to be honest with you.
I would too. It'd be interesting to see what you could read from some of the dialogue.
I want to know. We've got friends on the West Coast. We got to find out if this costume exists anywhere. There's got to be one of them that survived, right? And sitting somewhere.
We do have friends on that.
Wouldn't that be cool to take to a convention?
Wouldn't it though? Wouldn't it be
give
great
a shout out to Dirk and
we gotta find out.
Some of those guys,
because there's got to be one that has survived, right? There has to be.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. It looked like there were a lot of them.
They made at least half a dozen to a dozen of them.
Well, maybe they're in Japan. I mean,
maybe.
I
mean, I think being in Japan would be possible. I think that would be possible.
I mean, if they can find one of the original Bruce sharks and restore it, they can find one of these guys and restore it. I put the challenge out there, Dirk. The challenge is yours, sir. He's going to give me hell for that.
We should wind up here. I have feedback from Dirk, but I had it in the show notes for the one that we were going to do that we didn't do that we're going to do next week.
We'll do it. Let's do it.
Let me find it here. I'm scrolling.
Somebody needs to fill in the blank. Just anybody listening out here, we can't put it on this one because if we do, we'll get dinged. But go look up the theme song. We've talked about the theme song, but it is out there. All 1 minute and 11 seconds of it out there on YouTube. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes. But just go and listen to it, because if you haven't seen this movie and you watch this theme song, it's going to be the next thing you do is go watch this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. So we had feedback from Dirk Rogers on episode 102, The Hitchhiker, the
Okay.
film noir film from 1953 that we called horror adjacent.
Yes.
And Dirk says, "Hey, Grue-Crew, great review as usual. Besides Val Lewton films, which I think I've already seen most of, what other noir films that are horror adjacent would you guys recommend? Perhaps a top 5. Are there any noir films that actually have a monster or a cool sci-fi angle? Thanks, and keep up the good work."
Do you know what comes to my mind first?
What?
Is that Peter Lorre film?
Mad Love?
No, well, that one too. But the one with the hand, what is it? The title of it? Where it's his hand. I know you don't like hand movies.
Yeah, I blocked that stuff out.
Five Fingers.
Yeah.
Five Fingers.
Well, and yeah.
What is it? Oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember the title of the movie.
Well, I'm feeling really stupid because we had a chat about this coming up with names, and of course, I don't have that up either. But Kiss Me Deadly, I think, was the first one.
Beast with 5 fingers?
Beast with 5 fingers, yeah.
Did you guys
And
cover
I
that
think-
one already? Sorry.
No, we did not. We did Mad Love.
I know there's one that I want to see. There's Dementia.
Yeah, that gets listed as
But I haven't seen it
noir.
yet.
How about a movie like Angel Heart? Robert De Niro? Would that be a noir?
Yeah, that's definitely neo noir. I would probably fits more into that category. So one of the ones I thought of was Kiss Me Deadly, which is the one that's based on a Mike Hammer book, stars Ralph Meeker. That's definitely a science fiction thing going on there. It's not a monster, but it's definitely science fiction. And the other ones I thought of were Stranger on the Third Floor, which we talked about when we did The Seventh Victim, which is Peter Lorre. That's definitely a serial killer.
There's Cast a Deadly
movie.
Spell. Would that be considered?
I don't know.
You know the one I'm talking about, right? The H.P. Lovecraft.
No, I don't.
It stars the guy that played Remo Williams. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Fred Ward. Fred Ward. Yeah.
That's sort of
I don't
a
know about that.
40-ish detective type.
Well, it depends on how hardcore you are about calling something noir, because the real hardcore people are like, can't be past like 1959 or something.
Right.
And it's got to have all these certain elements. But I kind of think of it as being just sort of hardcore with sort of clipped dialogue and lots of shadows. And there's a style versus and DOA is another one that we talked about.
Calling Dr.
that's
Death. What's Lon Chaney Jr.? Calling Dr. Death? J. Carrol Naish?
Yeah.
I thought he was asking what movies in more modern day would be considered the same as noir. My bad.
A little trickier.
That's a good question. And I it does call that noir. Oh, that's an Inner Sanctum. I just watched that. Why didn't I remember that? Yeah. So anyway, we're going to keep working on it, and I'm going to come up with a list here, Dirk, because we're just sort of, us thinking out loud isn't all that entertaining, I don't think. So
They used to make me dance during these. But I refused to do it. They wouldn't.
You should have. This would have been the time to sing the theme song while we were coming up with the list here.
Yes.
And do this.
So anyway, everybody, plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback. Make comments on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like. Set up alerts. All that stuff. Subscribe to the podcast.
We like people to like
comments. Us. We love comments.
Share with a friend.
Even
share with a friend.
Share, yes, absolutely. Share
Definitely.
it.
Ring the bell.
Ring that bell.
Don't forget to ring the bell.
So that's it for this episode. Every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up, chosen by Daphne. We promise we're going to do Rasputin the Mad Monk, the Hammer film with Christopher Lee. That what he thought was his best performance. So,
Oh wow!
Really not Wicker Man,
Yes.
that one. Okay.
I don't think so. He really got into this. He really wanted to play this part. So anyway,
Cool.
catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the classic eras. Only decades of horror can do it. Say good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys. And I don't know if I'm talking to these guys or you guys out there.
Use
I
guys.
guess you all use guys. Yeah.
Every day, it's like the first time.
Gruesome Magazine.